Traffickers of illicit drugs and other harmful substances have been having a tough time since retired Brigadier General Buba Marwa took over as the chairman CEO of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Upon his resumption of office in January this year, he issued a stern warning to drug barons and traffickers to quit the illegal trade or spend their lives behind bars. The recent arrest of former Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari for drug-related offences is proof that the NDLEA chairman is living up to the billing and that the drug war is yielding positive results. Marwa says Abba Kyari's arrest is a clear message of the agency's commitment in the fight against drug abuse, as persons given the responsibility to fight crime must not be proponents of the crime. That's the crux of our discussion now. So joining me now is Public Affairs Analyst Darlington Umoru to help us make sense of some of these issues. Darlington, good morning.
Good morning,
Good to
Mike.
see you.
Always wonderful seeing you.
Great to see you too.
But sometimes when I sit here before you, I begin to imagine.
No, we're partners. We're partners in, creating awareness and enlightenment in the society.
Well, I hope that partnership would also be devoid of questions that will not run my brain riot this morning.
No, of course, you're capable of that. Now, this issue, in fact, let me even ask generally, you've been following this development for some time, and a lot of Nigerians have had comments, especially regarding all the allegations against the former DCP Abba Kyari, his involvement alleged involvement in all of these issues. When you sit down, relax, and you're watching and reading and seeing what would have or what may not even have been around all of the pictures and videos and all of that you see, what goes through your mind really?
Well, Mike, I recall some time ago I was in this studio when Abba Kyari was found in the midst of some persons in the southeast. I made a comment behind the cameras that Abba Kyari, in his status, by his official status, was not meant to be found in the midst of certain people in the public, in certain ceremonial activities. And by the time you begin to do that, it sends the wrong signals out there that you are, fraternizing with some persons ordinarily, that when there's an issue, they could use that to influence you, and when this story broke, I recalled immediately how many times I have said that Abba Kyari ought not to have been appearing in public places for certain activities. You recall recently that
as much as he has his own private life to live.
He has his own private life to live, but your official responsibilities sometimes supersede some of your private activities until you drop that toga. Security business is very, very delicate. Not to talk of him handling the IRT. That was a very sensitive office. And we know the much Abba Kyari had achieved, of course, which led to the recognition by the National Assembly and some other organizations, like even the Royal International Magazine, that honored him with the great legend in Africa. Be that as it may, Abba Kyari was recently fingered in what is loosely now referred to 419 deals. 419, of course, many people do not even understand it, but people understand 419, 419. 419 is a section 419 of the Nigerian Constitution that spelled out advanced field fraud and what to be done to offenders. That's where you have 419. That's where the word 419 or that line came from. Is a section of the Nigerian Constitution that talked about advanced field fraud. Now that is still on. America says it should be extradited to them so that it should come give its own part of the story concerning what the principal suspect that is facing trial in America had alleged. Talking about Demola, the one loosely referred to as Hush Puppy. That is still hanging. The FBI was here asking the Nigerian government to release Abba Kyari to them, to take back to America, but they missed it because it is not done that way. There are legal procedures that ought to be fulfilled if you had to extradite a man in the capacity of Abba Kyari. Be that as it may, when this issue came up, I had a quagmire. I got to a point I couldn't really break a puzzle. What was the issue really? It was issue, there's this corridor, the pipeline between Brazil, Ethiopia, and Nigeria, where the barons used. It's not the first time they have used it. This is not the first time. But it was busted this time by an informant. One of them who even followed up until Ethiopia. Now, it was one of them, allegedly, that called one of the members of the IRT bar to pass on the information to him to say, this is the movement of a 25 kg substance suspected to be cocaine that is going to move through these routes. And Mike, it actually moved, got to Enugu, and who arrested the moles? It was not the NDLEA officials. It was not the EFCC. It was not customs. It was not other agencies. There's a chain of security agencies, paramilitary bodies at the international airports that are meant to check luggage and the movement of persons, to be sure that all of them, one, you also have the immigration that will ensure that the man who is traveling, who is coming in, has genuine documents to come in. You have the customs who will check the goods that you're bringing in to ensure that they are not prohibited goods. You also have the NDLEA who are in charge of narcotics. And then you have the police. You have the Interpol. And you have all of this chain. And then you have the sniffer dogs. Mike, let me say this to Nigerians. If you're traveling abroad, from every luggage that is going into the aircraft that is not hand luggage, the sniffer dogs must go through all of them. I remember training security agents recently at the Northwest under the Presidential Committee on Small Arms and Light Weapons program that was sponsored by the EU, where we had to update, I particularly updated the security agencies on the new methods and techniques of drug trafficking. And it is known that for every luggage that is checked into the aircraft, that is why they close counter for international routes very early, so that procedures and processes
can start.
Every luggage is lined up, and the sniffer dogs must go through them.
But if we have this protocols of checks, you know, from one point to another, and all of these agencies, how come we still have, you know, times where, you know, some
times where Mike go straight, hit the nail on the
head.
Fine. How come
they still escape?
How come 25 kg
exactly
of cocaine, substance believed to be cocaine, went through all of this and was arrested by the IRT members outside the airport?
That's the question.
And now, the people being fingered, the principal suspect automatically again became the IRT members. And then the PRO of the NDLEA has sufficiently told Nigerians that their members are not suspect in this case. They have no question to answer. Even though the IG, the Nigerian police, is saying, also bring out your members. Now, if you say your members were not involved, I said this on radio yesterday. If you are sufficiently telling Nigerians that none of your members should be fingered, how come 25 kg? 25 kg, Mike, we are talking about.
Of course.
It's not the size of my phone.
Yeah.
beat all the security agencies until the IRT, who got the info from an informant from Brazil and who also supplied the pre-boarding photos of the moles. When I say moles here, I don't know whether people really understand it. Moles are those you refer to as couriers that are used by the drug barons. The drug barons sometimes don't like carrying drugs themselves to avoid having security issues. And so they employ moles. Those people they employ that ferry those drugs for them are the ones referred to as moles, not the cartels themselves. In the days of Escobar, Escobar will carry drugs himself. There's even there's research reveals how Escobar will even use submarines to move drugs, will even use private airlines. Escobar has used an aircraft to carry drugs where he even jumped out of the aircraft and allowed the aircraft to go crash. Because the weight of the drug he was carrying will buy 10 of those aircrafts. It went out through a parachute. Now the challenge, the Nigerian police is insisting that no NDLEA fine. Abba Kyari, our men were involved. We have handed them over to you for prosecution. But what about your men? Now, it is revealed that in 2021, these same persons have used that same route over time until this time when it was busted by a double crosser. About the same issue that Abba Kyari was being fingered on in the case of Hush Puppy, where Hush Puppy was trying to double cross another member of the gang.
So it means, as it is, if there is no double crossing situation, we might not.
Many had gone through that route.
We may not have.
Many had gone through that route and nothing happened. And now, because of greed, the members of the IRT gang who got the information, they were the one who actually made this arrest, according to what even the PRO of the NDLEA has sufficiently revealed to say that they were not the ones, it was not their members that were contacted. And you see, sometimes when we make statements, we do not really look at the underlining or security underlining of those statements we make. And now when you make those statements to say that it was not, you are taking away credit from even your organization. If it were a sting operation or a lead operation, where you had to, if it's a lead, where you had to follow the carrier to the final destination so that you can have more suspects, then it wouldn't have been the police coming back to say, we have this, we collected this, and then we have to negotiate on this. Not the police generally now. I'm talking about those involved, talking about as led by Abba Kyari. Where I had issues at a point in time that I could not resolve in my head, because it gave, at a point in time I needed to leave research, leave all the books, and then I was wanting to break into something. If it were the police that arrested the moles, the two of them, and brought in the NDLEA, because of course there's a synergy between the security agencies. If you found something or made an arrest and it's not on your purview or department, you hand over to the relevant agency that is in charge. Just like the case of the international terrorist that was to come into Nigeria in January and then was to hit Abuja. The matter was handed over to the immigration, NIS, the Nigerian Immigration Service, that eventually, because they were the ones that were checking movement of persons, illegal persons into the country, and then the thing leaked from that point. But they were not the ones who did the profiling and got that synergy we are talking about here, Mike. And so the same Abba Kyari's group and Abba Kyari, who made this arrest, went back to the NDLEA from reports and then said, we want to take this. You take this. We do it this way. And for goodness sake, for a cop like Abba Kyari to be involved in such filthy arrangement was shameful.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Allegedly, because no, even from the facts available, from the statements of Abba Kyari in that particularly sting operation, the recording, and what the PRO of the NDLEA had told Nigerians sufficiently. Because now the Nigerian police is saying, we have handed over to you the suspects. Now, what about your men? Okay, if you say that your men were not involved, common sense will tell you, Mike, that this operation happened on a particular day. Who and who were on duty?
Were on duty. That's it, exactly. Because
this is my own now.
Those questions
who and who were on duty? Come and tell us your own side of the story. How come this thing went through?
Exactly. You were on duty and you were supposed to check to ensure everybody who comes in doesn't have, we're talking about 25 kg of drugs.
Not that even 5 kg.
Yeah, 25 is
We're talking
huge.
about 25. Now, when you look at implant, there's what we call implant when it comes to drug ferrying, where even it has gotten so bad that women, some ladies, some moles, they will open up their breast, and when they open up the breast will be you plant in cocaine there, and then you suture it again, and then it will look bulgy. There's also, don't forget that there's also liquid cocaine. Okay, when you suture it, the woman, those moles, the female moles will come out with bulgy busts, and then you think it's their bust. Of course, it's difficult to go touch their bust.
But there's supposed to be scanners to check all of these.
Some of them be scanners. One thing the drug traffickers do on daily basis is spend so much money on how to move drugs and beat security agencies and beat scanners. And whether you like it or not, Mike, some of our scanners, most of our scanners at these entry points are not working, or not even working well. All right.
Now, I wonder how this is going to impact the extradition process that you know, now that there are allegations that, oh, we can link this person to this and to that and to that and so on. How would it impact the extradition process, if at all it's going to happen?
Mike, there's a theory going out there that this is just a dummy. This drug case is just a dummy to stop Abba Kyari from being taken to America to answer for questions. But this is a theory coming from, I think it's coming from a school of thought that is not really learned. I think it really has nothing to do with it. It further compounds it and makes it easier. Because now many are saying that if this man was on suspension, how come he was still on active activities? Because his role as the leader of IRT had been taken by another. Okay, if that had been taken by another, how come he was still the one who went for that operation in Enugu? And how come that his men, his team are still very loyal to him? Loyalty we are talking about here now.
These are all questions that one would ask. But anyway, I believe that as we get along in the coming days, some of these puzzles, you call them puzzles, I believe that you'll be able to break into with more information and more intelligence, you know, and more analysis coming up so that Nigerians can better understand some of these things and also see how more can be done to keep Nigeria safe. Thank you so much, Darlington, for coming on the program.
Thank you. But let's not forget that since Marwa came on board to take over the NDLEA, NDLEA has taken a different shape. Yeah. And since NDLEA has taken a different shape, the man has done so well to ensuring that in 10 months, between January when he took over last year, not this year, he didn't take over this year, when he took over last year, and November last year, in 10 months, he was able to arrest 2.3 million kg of illicit drugs. That is worth about 120 billion naira. Wow. That is to tell you that the man has been doing well. A lot of shady deeds that had been happening in that through that narcotic agency now is really being taken care of.
All right. It tells that Nigeria security agencies, they can actually work when they want to work.
No, they work. They really work when they have to work, yes.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
My pleasure, Mike.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you.